Ah, greetings, salutations, and welcome to another one of my impromptu reviews. This one is of a Changan Hunter double cab 2-litre 4-wheel drive bakkie pickup truck in South Africa. I've got lots to tell you. I think we should get going in 3, 2, 1. Okay, I almost forgot. We have to do a bit of housekeeping, and I should not be holding my notes while driving. I'm going to do this in chapters to make it easier and tell you all about the noisy engine and stuff like that. But we'll start with a basic introduction. What is it? Right? Then chapter 2 is prices and detailed specs. Chapter 3 is design, comfort, and tech while I enter the estate. You're welcome. Design and spec. We're now on a private road. Ride, drive, and performance is chapter 4. There's also the noisy engine in there somewhere. Then chapter 5, colors and optional extras. Chapter 6, shift. Chapter 6, competitors. Might be an interesting one. 7 is pros and cons. And then 8 is a conclusion, as we find a gear. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, chapter 1. What is Changan, to start with? The Hunter brochure says that Changan was established in 1862, which is great, but there's a small technicality. Cars weren't invented yet. However, they said, no, it was established as a military supply factory, right? And then only in 1959 was it repurposed to manufacture Changan Type 46 Jeeps. So they've been making cars since 59. They produce their own vehicles under the following brands: Changan, Deepal, Avatar, and Kaisen. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But they're also in a joint venture with Ford and with Mazda. Wikipedia says that the Changan Hunter is also known as the Kaisen F70 and is a mid-size pickup truck from 2019. That's when it was introduced. And it's built by Changan and the PSA Group. Isn't it like Citroen Peugeot? I thought this was no, it is a Peugeot. That's right. Yes. Joint venture or something like that. Right. This vehicle is also called a Kaisen F70, Changan F70 Hunter, a Changan Nivo Hunter K50, a Changan Landtour, mispronouncing that, sorry, a Deepal Hunter K50, a Peugeot Landtrek, a Fiat Titano, a Ram 1200, and a Ram Dakota. It is available with 2 doors, or as a 4-door crew cab, or a 4-door double cab, which is the one that we get here in Southern Africa. The range has a total of 4 engines, including a hybrid, but we only get the D20 TCIe, which is a 1.9-litre inline 4-cylinder turbo diesel. We also get the Hunter R EEV. In fact, we booked that press car after this one, but that's a pure EV, and most people treat that as a separate product, including us. The Hunter double cab turbo diesel is available in 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive with a 6-speed manual or 6-speed automatic transmission. We get both of them, but they're sort of joined at the hips. Allow me to explain in the next chapter about specs and prices. Okay, I thought I was clever. I'm going to drive around, but all the parking bays are taken, and I don't want to drive while doing pieces to camera, because it's not safe. We in Southern Africa get 2 models. The Hunter double cab 2-litre 2-wheel drive, which I'm going to have to consult my notes. CS. It's the manual transmission, 6-speed manual, CS. I have no idea what that stands for. And that costs 450,000 Rand. For the whole bakkie. That's not bad. And then we get the Changan Hunter 2-litre 4-wheel drive automatic CE. Again, no idea what that stands for. for about $570,000. Included in each sale is a 5-year 150k warranty and 5-year 90,000 kilometer service plan, although we had conflicting sources saying that the service plan might be optional on the two-wheel drive. There's also roadside assistance, which, as far as we can tell, matches the warranty. Very noteworthy is that the two-wheel drive is only available with a manual gearbox, and the four-wheel drive is only available with an automatic. The engine is a 1910cc inline four-cylinder turbo diesel, which develops 110 kilowatts at 4,000 RPM, or 350 newton meters, peaking between 1,800 and 2,800 RPM. Okay-ish, I guess. Claimed average fuel consumption is 7.1 for the manual and 9.1 liters per 100 kilometers for the automatic. I saw 11 around town with lots of hills, so that seems fairly plausible. They all have an 80-liter tank. Base specs for the two-wheel drive include 4 airbags, remote central locking, child lock, auto locking doors, manually adjustable premium fabric seats, a chili glove box, 10-inch touchy-feely infotainment system, anti-dazzle interior mirror, cigar lighter socket, right there, a couple of USB ports. There are 2 there. There's one back here, I think. Cruise control, power windows and mirrors, or if you're in America, Mias. 60-40 split rear bench seat backrest. Really? What for? I'm going to have to put B-roll in, because I haven't tried that yet. Wow, in a bucky. That's amazing. It's got hooks on the seat backs here, which is quite handy. And then, of course, driver aids. It's got ABS and EBD, so brake force distribution with BAS, brake assist, ESP, which is stability control, traction control. Yes, it does, trust me. HHC and HDC, which is hill hold control and hill descent control. So the one holds you, which is actually quite practical, and the other one helps you to go downhill. Rear park sensors, you've probably heard them, and the camera, you didn't see it, but we can put in B-roll as well if you like. Tire pressure monitoring system. These are just the base specs on the two-wheel drive. Inner and outer cargo hooks. I assume that's in the cargo or load bed. 17-inch alloy wheels, LED daytime running lights, but halogen headlights. Right. If you then pay a bit more to get the four-wheel drive version that I'm sitting in, identical engine but automatic and four-wheel drive, 2 high, 4 high and 4 low. That includes 2 more airbags, leather seats, electrically adjustable for the driver and the front passenger, a smart key with a start button, keyless entry. There are buttons on the enormous chrome door handles. The exterior door handles are chromed on this, and I think the tailgate as well, but they are probably the largest door handles I've ever seen in my life. It has stainless steel side pedal and protective fence for cargo. I have no idea what they're talking about. I couldn't find that. As opposed to aluminium, or aluminum if you're from America, on the two-wheel drive base model. This one has roof rails, a high-mounted third brake light, auto headlights and auto wipers, a rear window demister. Yes, 12-volt socket in the cargo bed, and that's it. Maybe I've forgotten some, but I hope not. Yeah, it turns out that I'm the worst person to review a 4x4 double cab bucky, because I sort of forgot a couple of important things, like testing it off-road, or towing, or loading stuff. Voice-overing of which, the Changan Hunter 2-liter turbo diesel 4x4 automatic has selectable four-wheel drive with low range, an approach angle of 28 and departure angle of 27 degrees, 226 millimeters of ground clearance, 700 millimeters maximum wading depth, 13 meter turning radius, a curb weight of 2,060 kilograms, and can carry up to 1,020 kilograms, or tow a maximum of 2,000 kilograms with trailer brakes. The load bed dimensions are 1520 by 1520 by 500 millimeters. Sorry about that, I'm not a bucky person. Oh yes, dimensions. 1930 millimeters wide, 1875 millimeters high, and 5,330 millimeters long. That is for the double cab, and it comes from the ZA brochure, from our local brochure. Right, next chapter, please. Okay, chapter 3, design, comfort and tech. Welcome back to someone's garage or driveway. The brochure says that this was engineered to be tough, styled to stand out. Okay. The Hunter, this is still brochure speak, the Hunter stands tall with a design that blends rugged strength with contemporary style. Right. From its bold front grille to the muscular stance, it communicates capability and confidence wherever it goes. Yeah, that's just marketing blurb. So it's good looking and macho, apparently. The design, in my humble opinion, is fairly modern, very agreeable, not the most daring or unique, but very pleasant. I hope you agree. Okay, as for comfort, the ride has that typical double cab harshness because it has two different suspensions, car suspension at the front, Volkswagen suspension at the back, but that's because they work hard. That's just the way all buggies are built. But we've got 4,033 Ks on this car. I'm not hearing a single rattle or squeak. Also, cars that cost twice as much, double cabs, especially of established brands, they jiggle and wiggle all the time. You can drive on a perfectly smooth road and the thing just jiggles and wiggles everything. This doesn't do that. This car rides fairly smooth, or smoother than some of its really established competitors. The seats are quite good, slightly firm but supportive. They've got nice bolstering as well. The cabin leg and headroom is absolutely fine. It's got a great manual air conditioning, which I'm really enjoying now. Although there's like an optical illusion because it's got like a BMW-esque look to it and a chrome trim down the middle, and I've missed the top buttons a few times because I think the whole thing protrudes, but it doesn't. It's actually flat. That's a weird criticism, but that's just something I experienced. Right. The steering wheel feels of really high quality. Yeah, there's some harder plastics in here, but touching the steering wheel and the gear lever, everything actually feels very premium, I must say that. Some of the plastics are good, overall quality, I think I just mentioned that. Oh yes, this cabin has lots of shapes. In fact, the more I look at it, the more I realize they must have had some internal competition where everybody gets to invent a new shape. Have we used this one yet? Have we used a rhombus or something? Yeah, there it is. What about a weird square that's not quite a rectangle but has one side? Yeah, they were looking for every single shape they could find and they put it in this car. Slightly angled dash as well. Proportions? No. But very stylish and modern, I would also say. The Peugeot buttons down the middle, those are quite cool. I do think they came from Peugeot rather than from Changan, but I like those. What I really like, what every single driver like, is that it has a physical volume knob and a physical gear lever and even physical air conditioning knob, which is quite cool. One for fan speed, one for temperature. But having physical controls for everything is brilliant. And it even has eco and sport buttons next to the gear lever, which is handy, I guess. Gear lever, yes, I've done that bit. Oh yes, the part digital gauges I thought belonged to the Peugeot Landtrack, but obviously it belongs to this family of cars or vehicles. Yeah, it's okay. Those side things, again, bit BMW-esque. The Bavarians do it in digital. These guys do it analog on the side and then digital sort of in the middle. It's okay. It's not too bad. And then, yeah, the button placement in here, that is a bit challenging. So we've grouped together climate controls and that, but the mirror button is down there. Mia button is down there. There's also the rear tailgate light and headlight level control. I guess it's not too bad, but they could have grouped it a bit better. Steering wheel has infotainment and cruise control. Right. Parts of the gauges, the buttons, all over. Yeah, I think it's time for the next chapter. Okay, chapter 4, ride, drive, and performance. So the first thing, if you haven't noticed yet, this engine is incredibly noisy. I'm so sorry, neighbors. It seriously sounds like a tractor, especially if it's cold and especially if it's under load. I've also noticed a small chirp in between shifts, a chirp of the turbo diesel, of the turbocharger. The Mahindra Karoo pickup also picked up to us, the S11, with the M-Hawk engine. It's got like a flutter in between gear changes. And it's not a blow-off valve. It might be, but it's got like a chirp or a chatter on it. This car has done that, especially when it's cold. And during performance testing, which I did this morning, in full sport mode with a bit of a smoky start, it actually skipped first gear, or it hit some sort of limiter. It actually frizzled out a bit. Maybe if the footage is okay and you can see it, I'll put it in now. Otherwise you just have to take my word for it. Okay, the engine is very noisy. Have I mentioned that? Yes. The power is okay-ish. It's not the greatest. It's 110 kilowatts. It's a big bucky. You can't expect very much oomph from this car. However, I personally feel that the torque is sufficient, and that torque band is fairly okay-ish, and the engine does its best to stay in there. Sometimes it revs a bit too high in town, but I'd rather have that than the VW equivalent, where it tries to go down as low as possible and you're clunkering around with valves bouncing around. No. So it revs a bit, but torque is sufficient, and the gearbox is nicely tuned, even in eco mode, to keep you going. It's a proper slush box. Torque converter, stretchy, gear changes are smooth but slow. Again, I don't mind. I'd rather have that than some DSG which doesn't know if it's Arthur or Martha. Eco and sport mode I've mentioned, sort of work. And then it's got a manual override on the physical gear lever, which is cool, but there are no shift paddles. However, hashtag Bucky life. This is a Bucky, it's a pickup. And it's a very, very affordable pickup, so it doesn't have shift paddles, fine. You can manually override on the gear lever, and that is very welcome in a Bucky and not a race car. The performance is, next question, please. So I mentioned I did 0 to 100 and other testing this morning, and it did the best of 3 in 13.29 seconds, which is rather average. Actually, it's below average, but 110 kilowatt budget double cab. In fact, we keep a scorecard of who's got the fastest Bucky. I think we're on level 7, or on the 7th version of it, version 7. Turbo diesel Buckies and double cab Buckies, and I can put that in now, and you're probably seeing it, and you can see where the slot's in. And power to weight ratio wise, it's actually not that bad. I also have to stress, around town and at slow speed, it's not that bad, and it feels acceptable. Quarter mile time was 18.82 seconds at 73.3 miles per hour. Again, not the greatest performance, and what I have to mention, this car started struggling over 120 kilometers an hour. That is comparatively speaking. Hello, neighbor. Nothing to see here. Okay. Yeah. Comparatively speaking, this car struggles at high speed. So it gets up to highway speeds, 100 kilometers an hour, 120 kilometers an hour, just fine, and it stays there and cruises all day long. But overtaking at those speeds, you're gonna have to plan it a bit and or be patient. How's it? Right. Right. I have mentioned that the slow speed ride is rather harsh, which is the same for any other new double cab out there, but it's not as jittery as others. I did put that in. The highway ride is excellent, very good. Once this car is up to speed, 100, 120, it rides beautifully. It settles down nicely. The wind and tire noise is acceptable. and the ride improves drastically. Yes, I have to stress that. I was very pleasantly surprised. The steering is okay. It's got the typical bucky steering, so if you go around a corner you need to turn quite a bit. But that means it's also excellent off-road, and the turning radius I think is about 13 meters. But it is better than some Volvos I've driven. This thing turns quite well for a bucky. The brakes are acceptable. We did a full stop in 3.19 seconds and 44.68 meters, which is fine. I can put in another chart of other buckies. Again, acceptable for a double cab pickup. It's got like semi off-road, more on-road focused tires. This one has Gitti, probably Comfort 4x4, I'm not sure, Gitti, these type of tires of the dimension 265/60 R18. Handling, cornering, bucky. Next question, please. In fact, next chapter, please. Thank you. Okie dokie. Hunter double cab colors. The brochure says there are 5 colors available: stellar white, lunar silver, metallic grey, electric blue, isn't that a song? And red. So red, this one, which I quite like, doesn't have a special name. It's just called red. However, if you go to the South African website, it says there are just 4 colors called grey, silver, blue and red. That must be a mistake because they've omitted all the nice color names, and South Africans' favorite color, which isn't actually technically a color, white. There's no white on the website. Fix that quickly, otherwise we're going to lose sales. Optional extras. Wow. I was quite impressed to find that the brochure mentions, with pictures sometimes, a sport bar in silver or black, roller shutter manual, oh yes, tonneau cover, but you're not allowed to have that if you're wearing a sports bra. Or it refers to the sport bar, which is the rollover hoop. Could be, I'm not sure. What else? High level air intake, which looks suspiciously like a snorkel. A nudge bar for the front. Window visors, so you can look like someone from the 1970s. Or was it 80s? Let me know in the comments. Cattle rails. You can have cattle bars around the back. That will make this look like a proper bucky, blast bucky, like a farm car. Seat covers, tow bar, very good, obviously. Boot organizer, a bicycle carrier for 4 bikes. Tailgate central locking, so that's an option. Wow, dealer fit? Probably. Tailgate assist. I'm not sure if that's powered or if it has some mechanical assist, but there's a picture of it like moving about. Dust seal kit, which I presume is for the cargo area, because dust usually can get in there. Lock nuts for the wheels, and then a lock nut for the spare wheel, which is probably under the cargo area. I haven't checked yet, but I'm fairly certain it is. And that's it. Next chapter, please. Right. Next chapter. Competitors. It's got loads, actually. If you don't care about the price, you're buggered, because we have dozens of double cabs on the market. Plenty of them. So what I'm trying to say is I didn't research this bit, and because we should look at the price point and what it's competing with, because if you compare this to the established stuff, they're way more expensive, but this doesn't have the same sort of dealer count and after sales backup, possibly, I don't know. So maybe I'll just also go to voiceover or cut in something else now. Yep.
Oh, right. Welcome to the voiceover. As you can probably see, we've made a list of top spec double cab pickups with 4-wheel drive and engine capacities around 2 liters, so between 1.9 and 2.2 liters. And this Changan sits right in the middle, which is good. Obviously this doesn't include side-by-side spec comparisons and subsequent adjustments for price, otherwise we'd be here all internet long. But for the sake of this review, here's what the big boys with their big engines cost by comparison.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, next chapter, please. Okay. Pros and cons. Pros or positives? I personally think it's very good looking. It's a decent looking automobile. It's very roomy. It's fairly comfy. It is surprisingly good to drive. That's probably the main reason I made this video, because I thought, ugh, not another bakkie. But then I drove it and I really liked it. Maybe the red color swayed me a bit, but it's not bad. So I wanted to tell you, if you are interested in it, please go and test drive one and tell me if I'm wrong. It's fairly practical, but it is a double cab bakkie. It seems quite economical and well built. Like I said, no squeaks, no rattles. You see, I can pull that. Other cars would already be squeaking. This is really well made. Hope that was a good test. Very good specs at the price point. Yep. This is excellent value. And then, according to the brochure, you can stand or lie on the bonnet or the hood. You can also put your bag there, but please mind the paint. It turns out you can also lie on the roof if you're not as fat as I am. So I wouldn't get on the bonnet or the roof. I might dent it. Cons or negatives. It's an old brand, but it's new to us. It's also a new product. We haven't had any generation of this before, so it is a bit of a unknown, a risk if you like. The dealer count. They're still establishing dealers around the country. They're also working very hard on parts supplies and all of that, but please don't ask us about after sales backup. We only tested this car for a few weeks, which is actually quite nice. Thank you, Changan, because usually we have a car for a few days. They gave us this for a few weeks. Nothing went wrong. It did not put a single foot wrong or wheel wrong. Yeah, but we only had this for a short period. We can't give you an ownership update. So if you are curious, if you're seeing this video later, forums, groups, that sort of thing, that's where you'll get advice on what potentially goes wrong with these cars. And then it has the typical bakkie compromises, mostly the low speed ride in this vehicle, turning radius, the handling or lack thereof, rear visibility, hashtag bakkie life. The performance is mediocre by comparison, especially at highway speeds. High speed overtaking, not so great. Some dash ergonomics, like the button placement, and then the air vents also gave me a bit of a hard time. Hopefully I can still put that in, because I thought the whole thing moves, but it turns out only the center Mr. Fender moves, and that confused me. It does work perfectly, it's just a bit confusing to my silly brain. The infotainment system is not the best, but it's not supposed to be. This is not a high-end super luxury SUV, it's a bakkie. I found it a bit laggy here or there, but for the price point it's not bad. Biggest criticism of the actual screen is that they've put some sort of starry background, and to me it always looks like it's got dust on it, so I'm constantly trying to wipe it away. But I guess maybe we can change the wallpaper somehow. No mirror for the driver, but a mirror without light for the passenger. And then the engine is very noisy. I did demonstrate that, but I could demonstrate it again because there's something else I need to demonstrate. The hooter is from a Noddy car or some cartoon. Meep meep. Hilux actually does that as well. It's got this tiny little meep meep hooter. But it makes me smile, so maybe that's a positive. Anyway, on to the last chapter. Right, conclusion, which is actually just a summary of the pros and cons, or most of them. This is a handsome new Chinese bakkie with a noisy engine and 2 models, offering good specs at a great price point. Whoever wrote that is a genius, I agree with that. It drives okay, it seems economical, and we also wonder if it'll last, because if it does, wow. This is an excellent value proposition. I would consider buying one. but I'm not a bucky person. But if I wanted a pickup truck and it had to be new, I would seriously, honestly consider it. It's not bad. I like it. Thanks again, Changan, and thank you to you for watching. See you on the next one. Bye. From 2019, built by Changan and the PSA group. The Citroen Peugeot thing? Oh, hang on, distraction. C63 Coupe? Yes, bad color, great car. Come on. Come on, put your foot down. Come on. Oh, is that his fuel light? Yeah, he's probably out of fuel. Anyway,